YouTube Oziko and the Goat House is back. Today in this video, I'm going through my AFC East record predictions for the 2023 season. Subscribers on Twitter will be getting the best and worst case predictions as well for each of these teams. So if you want to support us, help us grow even further, and get bonus content while you're at it, not only follow us on Twitter, but subscribe to get that bonus content, including the best and worst case record predictions for all the NFL teams here. So we'll be doing this division by division, so we will get through all the teams. We have a bunch of other content rolling out as well, recent trade videos. We have a lot of YouTube shorts going up, so check that out. Like, subscribe, to notifications on. Any link you're looking for, Twitter, sponsors, Liquid IV, GLD Shop, code GOAT, links pinned in the comments for any of those things there. So check it out. So AFC East, next will be the NFC East. But again, if you want the best and worst case to kind of see my range, I try to tighten it up a little bit. Subscribe to us on Twitter, support us, and get that bonus content. But my Buffalo Bills 2023 record prediction, I'm going to go with 12-5. They're a little tricky because I do think the schedule is pretty tough. Like there's definitely scenarios where I saw less than 12 wins. That's where the realistic worst case scenario comes into play. But, definitely could see less because it's a tough schedule. It seems like, teams, at the end of the year, end of last year, kind of started their game plan a little better for the Buffalo Bills as well, maybe without Brian Daboll there. So you could see less than 12-5. But looking at the schedule and for those reasons, but just looking at this team more so, I can see better than 12, obviously, as well, just because it's a very talented team. And they just actually this morning, coincidence, we're doing the AFC East today. This morning they signed Leonard Floyd, which was actually a big pickup. It's an intriguing pickup because he was more of a 3-4 rusher. Bill's been running more of a 4-3. Leslie Frazier taking a year off. Will they switch it up a little bit? Back with Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, that is. So just better. They get better with Leonard Floyd. So very interesting there. That could help. But just a very good team in general. And the draft pick of Dalton Kincaid kind of tells you they might give some different looks, using two tight ends, using Kincaid in the slot, outside, maybe putting him in line. I don't think we'll see a ton of this, but him in line and Knox, in the slot or out wide. So getting creative, causing mismatches. So therefore, they can be a tough team to game plan for and deal with, on top of them already being tough to deal with and game plan for because they're just so talented. So offensive line would have to be better. That's still a little bit of a question down the stretch, but we kind of saw that last couple of years, like the offensive line letting them down the stretch. So yeah, you could argue because the schedule's tough. They didn't look too great at the end of last year. Are they starting to get figured out? So maybe less than 12 wins, but just how talented they are and how much of a game plan factor, creating mismatches, getting unique, again, trying to change things up, some different looks on both sides. We talked about it. I think it's more than just adding one player, but adding Kincaid could be the example or kind of show us that, maybe they will show different looks on offense. Adding Leonard Floyd might be, isn't the biggest thing in the world. It's pretty good, but isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it kind of tells us might be some different looks on defense. So that kind of makes them a little more unique, a little more creative, a little more tough to game plan for. So I'm going to go 12-5 again. I could see, I think we all think the Bills are going to be good. I could see a little bit worse, a little bit better as a possibility as well. It's just what this team is, can they get over the hump in the playoffs? For the New York Jets, I also have 12-5. Their schedule isn't as tough as the Buffalo Bills. I guess that's probably obvious. And the Jets could be tricky as well because, Aaron Rodgers already shaken up a little bit. So, he's up there in age. It wasn't as great last year, but still pretty good. The Jets do have a better roster than the Packers did last year, but there is a scenario where it's like, is he beat up? Do they struggle because of that? Is he not the same as what he used to be? So they will get much less than 12 wins, if that is the case. But I'm not really counting on things like that. So I do, the schedule's not easy because they play in the AFC East, but I do like the schedule. I think they have an opportunity to play, to win a lot of football games. It feels like a team that should be, if healthy, should be absolutely dominant in the regular season. You look at last year, they put up good fights. They have some good wins. Even when they lose, it's good fights. And that's what a struggle at the quarterback position. And now they had Aaron Rodgers, and even if he isn't the MVP Aaron Rodgers, which he very well could be, Even if he's not, they don't even need him to be that for the regular season. They don't need him to be that because they can win a whole lot of football games. Good running game. Yeah, the offensive line's got to stay healthy. Good running game. Should have good passing game with Aaron Rodgers. The defense looks really, really good on paper. In general, this team on paper might have the least amount of holes in football. So that's really good, obviously. So they could win more than 12 games, too, because how talented they are. I guess durability, health is kind of the question with them, but we will see. But it's a really good team on paper. So my prediction for the New York Jets is 12-5. Really excited to see how they look this year. I guess the question will be playoffs, because Aaron Rodgers, his past teams couldn't really get over the hump. I know the Jets team is really, really good. Some of those Packers teams were really good. The AFC is absolutely stacked. So this is a team where we're pretty confident as long as they're healthy, really good in the regular season. They should be a threat in the playoffs, but that's kind of the big question with them. How much different regular season playoffs will the New York Jets be? So I'm going to go 12-5. So same as the Buffalo Bills. The Jets' schedule is a little easier. I think you worry about health a little bit more with the Jets, maybe perhaps. I guess it's something new. Aaron Rodgers, Jets team, so it's a tough game plan. I think the Bills could be a little more creative, a little more unique. The Bills have had a better defense probably than the Jets in the regular season. The Jets probably could pass them in that category. Miami Dolphins, I'm going to go 11-6. Looking through this team, looking through the schedule, the defense is ridiculous. The defense alone is going to win them ball games. The question will be offense and the health of the offense, specifically the quarterback position. But there's questions in terms of offense in general, because I thought Mike McDaniel's kind of his play calling, his system kind of got figured out a little bit at the end of last year. Insist on passing the football, obviously, sometimes even when the run's working. So can he mix it up a little bit? Can he, go away from – it feels like he kind of has a plan. Everyone has a plan before the game, and he kind of sticks to that no matter what. So no, situational adjustments. That's kind of my feeling, even though he's a good coach. He's a smart coach. That was kind of the issue, if I want to get specific here. So that's something I'm watching for this year. So not only Tua staying healthy, but that as well. But it's a very talented team. This defense, if you got that good of a defense, I think at the end of the day, this could be the very best defense in football. I think it could be that we just want to talk about the Jets. It could be the Jets as well, but the Dolphins is ridiculous. Adding Vic Fangio is huge, but adding Jalen Ramsey, the safeties they got, led by Javon Holland. They have, opposite of Jalen Ramsey, they have Xavier Howard, who's a big-time playmaking corner, could be even more of a playmaker in terms of getting interceptions, getting his hands on the ball, because he has Jalen Ramsey on the other side. Ridiculous pass rush duo in Phillips and Chubb. Christian Wilkins up front. Baker, linebacker, they had David Long Jr., who had a ridiculous year last year. It's a ridiculous group. Emmanuel Ogbah, I forgot the name. It's a really good group. So I have 11 wins. I think there's going to be games where maybe the offense lets them down, or maybe Tua's injured. You hate to say things like that, but at the same time, it's like this defense is going to, by themselves, is going to win games. Like the defensive performance alone, there's going to be multiple, maybe several wins because of the defense alone. And you factor in there are going to be more than not in terms of good offensive performances. So you factor that in as well. I think we can see a really good start, and then maybe the game plan a little bit easier for teams. And then, how's the health of Tua, the other Dolphins there? How's the offensive line? So maybe they drop some there, down the stretch. But this feels like an 11-6 team to me. You could see the range being, maybe that's a little closer to best case. That's probably, sometimes it's right in the middle for me. Sometimes it's a little closer to one side. That's probably closer to my best case scenario. The worst case could drop down a little bit because you do worry about durability at the quarterback position. You do worry about, how explosive will the offense be, throughout the whole year, I suppose. 11-6 is what I got from the Miami Dolphins. New England Patriots, I'm going to go 8-9. The Patriots are tricky. I actually think on paper, in terms of the talent, and then you factor in that Mac Jones, I would think Mac Jones can get back on track of how he was playing his rookie year under Bill O'Brien. They actually have a system that makes sense. It's not an experiment. Going into last year, it was a disaster the whole year, but they were kind of trying to change things up big time. And they kind of went back to what they know at the end of the year, but that's still with defensive guy calling the offense. So, being more comfortable, not an experiment going into this year. So factor in that. Factor in Mac Jones should play much, much, much better than he did last year. Factor in the talent they have on paper, especially defensively. Factor in that they were actually contending for the playoffs, making the playoffs last year with that kind of disaster, and they should be better this year. You factor all those things I just said in, it's like they are a better team than 8-9. Like they actually are. They're better. Like they almost feel like, for everything I just said, they almost feel like a 10-win team to me. And that's, I guess, the difference is a difference between evaluating a team and then you have to factor in their schedule, and not really who you play, but who you play, like when, where, what part of the schedule, what part of the season. You factor in those things. So I actually think they are a better team than what that record I have is 8-9. I actually think that. But the schedule is very tough. The layout of the schedule, which is more important. People kind of just look at opponents, but the layout of the schedule is pretty tough. I worry about the start. And then could they, I hope it doesn't hurt confidence or make them worry and switch quarterbacks or anything. I don't think they'll do that, but I do worry about that a little bit. But I think they can be solid on both sides of the ball. I guess you do worry about tackle play. If you worry about something and starting a little poorly is a possibility. If they start good, if the Patriots go in with that tough early start, anything can happen at the beginning of the year. But if they go in and start well, first 3-4 games, then look out. Really, really look out. But yeah, based on the schedule, and there could be some hiccups here and there, and you wonder about the tackle play, I went with 8-9. But they're going to be a tougher opponent throughout the whole year. They're going to be a tougher opponent than what their record says. You're going to be, our team's playing the Patriots, and here they are. They're 0-3, or they're in the middle of the year. They're 3-6 or 5. This is going to be an easy win. No, they're going to be much, much, much tougher than what their record shows. So I do like the roster. They can be a sneaky team this year. If we want to talk about sneaky teams, this definitely could be one of them. It's really tough that they're in the AFC East. If they were in a different division, like if they were in the AFC South, not how it works. It's kind of a stupid scenario to play around with here, but just for the point that I think their roster's pretty good. If they were in the AFC South, they would end up, or a division like that, they would end up with a much better record. So, can they get one on the Bills? They could, but it's tough. They could go 0-2 there. They've been struggling with the Dolphins recently. And they get one on the Jets maybe, but they could get one on the other teams as well. But it's just tough. It's tough matchups. Not only is it a tough division, it's the best division in football, most talent out of any division in football, in my opinion. I think most people's opinion, but they're tough matchups for the Patriots. They're for some reason. So every year is different though. So I do not want to base things off the past years, but that's the tough part. Again, that's where you sit down and you evaluate the teams and the rosters. I actually want to say 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range. But then you factor in the schedule, the layout. Again, they're still kind of growing. They're not as settled or polished as some of the other teams. And you come away with 8-9. The how tough the schedule is, like it's possible that like they're too good to finish with like 6 wins or something. But looking at the schedule, it looks like it's somewhat possible. So that's a tough one for the Patriots. Again, people want to say, like, all right, the teams that finished first last year automatically have the toughest schedules in the division most of the time. But I think that's mainly just opponents that you play. People base things off the opponents that you play a little too much. I look at the schedule, layout. Layout is everything. Like, when do you play this team? Every team is different. Where do you play these teams at? Where's the bye week? When and where do you play these teams? So either the Patriots actually have a brutal like layout and tough opponents, and they have bad matchups in the AFC. So that's the tough part there. So, again, we'll be doing every single team. It'll be division by division. This is the first one, the AFC East. We'll do the NFC East next. And the best and worst case scenarios are for our Twitter subscribers. You support us, help us grow, keep us in business here, and you get bonus content there. So follow us on Twitter. Much appreciated. If you subscribe as well on Twitter, we really, really appreciate you. And there's more content than just that. But can't wait to do the rest of these. We have kind of shorts, YouTube shorts coming out along the way with this. We already did, I did my all AFC East team, ranked the AFC East quarterbacks. So I try to do that, with, as I do these for each division as well. So we have a lot, as you can tell, we have a lot going on here at the Goat House. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Cannot wait for our in-season content. Any link you're looking for, pin in the comments, Twitter, sponsors, Liquid IV, and then GLD Shop. So check all that out. that'll do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.